Working on some final exam review here. So on number 10, we're going to rewrite this in standard form. We squared the x plus 10. Now I need to distribute the 4. 4x squared plus 80x plus 400. And then I just have to subtract 3. So I'm pretty quickly led to A. Kind of the same thing. If I just look at 11, C and D are impossible. Look, I don't even have a single negative sign in the original. So how would where would these negatives be coming from? Nowhere. So see how you can help yourself out and at least get down to 2 choices, usually very easily, without even doing much math. All right, flip through it. What else could I answer for you? Even if you haven't done it yet, just glance through and be like, oh, I would have no idea how to answer that one. Yeah. Okay. It's fine. 43. You got it. 43. Ooh, good question. So you have 2 options for something like 43. Do you guys remember what the 2 options are? You can do long division or you can do synthetic. So whichever way you try, you need to know how. So first of all, your dividend, the thing that goes in the house, if you're going to do long division, or if you're going to do synthetic, you have to make sure it's in standard form. X to the third, x squared, x to the first, and then no x at all. Remember the 0 placeholders? So if one of those, like if I had x to the third and then it jumped to x to the first, you would need to put in a 0 placeholder for x squared, right? This one does not need any 0 placeholders. I would do synthetic because it's so much faster. So you write all the coefficients, 4, negative 15, 20, negative 16. And then do you remember what you plug in? If I'm dividing by x minus 2. You plug in positive 2, right? You plug in whatever the solution would be that comes from that. So it would be a positive 2. And then just to recap how to do synthetic, you drop down the first number. Kaylee, you asked me this and you're not listening to me. Add them as you go down. So a negative 15 plus 8 is negative 7. 2 times negative 7, negative 14. 6, 12. I have a negative 4 remainder. And these are the coefficients of what's left. So knowing that, what is my answer? You're close. You just have a degree too high. Remember, this is the remainder, and then this is your constant, the next one. So it's x to the first and x squared. Yep. So it'll be choice A. If you don't like synthetic division, or you have a problem where you can't do synthetic, because remember, you cannot do synthetic division if it's not a variable plus or minus some other number. Like, what if it was 2n plus 7 that you were trying to divide by? You have to do long division there, right? So anyway, let's say I want to do 44 with long division. So I'm going to put the divisor on the outside, the dividend on the inside, make sure it's in standard form, and I don't need any 0 placeholders. 3, 2, 1, none. I don't need any 0 placeholders, and it's already in standard form, so I'm good to go. So just to recap long division, you ask yourself, what do I multiply n by to get n to the third? N squared. So I put n squared up at the top, and then I multiply n squared times what's out in front. Remember, you want to keep everything in columns, so all the n squareds go here, all the n's go here, all the single numbers go here. So n squared times what's out in front, that's n cubed minus 10n squared. But then what must you do? You have to subtract both of these. So now that's a minus, and this becomes a plus. The n to the thirds cancel. Negative 3 plus 10 is a positive 7n squared. You drop down the next number. And then I keep repeating that process until I'm done. So what do I multiply n by to get 7n squared? 7n. So up top, I put a positive 7n. I multiply 7n times everything out in the front. 7n squared minus 70n. But then I must subtract both of these. So since that's already a minus, now it becomes a plus. 7n squareds are gone. I'm left with 7n. Drop down to negative 75. What do I multiply n by to get 7n? 7. Multiply through 7n minus 70. But now I need to subtract, so you're a minus, you're a plus. 7n's are gone. Negative 75 plus 70 is a negative 5. There's nothing left to bring down, so that's my remainder. So remember how you write it. Minus 5 over n minus 10. And then which choice is that? Looks like it's B. So you want to be able to do either synthetic or long division. If you're only going to know one of the two, I guess it should be long division. Because you can do long division on anything. You can only do synthetic if it's a variable plus or minus another number. You can't have a coefficient in front of x. And what if it's a trinomial? Then you really have to do long division. Okay, what else?
There's one part where it said check for zeros, but I don't know what it was. Oh yeah, find all zeros and
24. Let's see. Oh, that just means solve, right? So, but I'm glad that you asked that because they may use that terminology on your final, right? So, basically, you have two options. The option that I would love for you to do, when it's find all zeros, you're just going to replace f of x with 0 and solve the quadratic. That's it. So how do you solve a quadratic? You can try and factor it. If you can't factor it, you can do quad formula. If you can't do quad formula, you can always complete the square. Since it is multiple choice, though, you can work backwards. It would be kind of annoying because you have some fractions in here. So it's probably easier just to solve it straight out, but it's up to you. So I might try and factor this. Let's see if, remember doing our t's. If a is not 0, I have to make t's. So 1 and 2, 1, 9, 3, and 3. So is there a way for me to get a 9? 6 and 3, you're right. Positive 6 and a positive 3. So x, 2x, I need to make a 6, and I need to make a 3. So what are my solutions? Sorry if you can't see this. Negative 3 and a negative 3 halves. Looks like choice D. You're going to write 2x plus 3 equals 0. And then you minus the 3 and divide by 2. Yep. Who else has something? Elise? 28. Ooh, good one. One number is 12 more than twice another. The product of the two numbers is 110. What are the numbers? So let's first work smarter, not harder. The product of the two numbers should be 110. What operation is product? Multiplication. So let's look through our choices. If I multiply the two numbers together, I should get 110. Does that happen with all of them? Oops. Can I cross any of them off? B, 2 times 16 is not 110. So B is not right. Okay, so I only got rid of 1, but that's all right. But let's read the other part. One number is 12 more than twice another. So is A choice? No. And then let's see. One number is 12 more than twice another. So that means I need to take one of them, double it, and add 12. And that should get me the other one. So if I take 2 and I double it and I add 12, do I get to 55? No, it's got to be D, but let's check it anyway. If I take 5 and I double it and I add 12, do I actually get 22? I do. Now, so yes, you can work backwards. You should be able to work forwards, though, too. So let's just say that you're going to try and do this forwards. One number is 12 more than twice another. Do you know what the first number is? No, call it X. What would the second number be? 12 more than twice another.
2x plus 12.
Yes, 2x plus 12 is my second number. The product of the two is 110. You told me a minute ago that product might multiply. So I need to do x times 2x plus 12, and I should get 110. Now I have an equation to solve. So distribute the x, you get 2x squared plus 12x equals 110. And now you have a quadratic to solve. So I'd set it equal to 0 minus that 110 over. I would also divide everything by 2, because make your life a lot easier. And try and factor. Factors of negative 55 that add to 6. 11 and 5. So plus 11 and a minus 5. So that means x is either negative 11 or positive 5. Well, negative 11 isn't a choice anywhere, so let's get rid of that. So one number's got to be 5, and then I get my other one's 22 anyway. Okay, what else can I do for you? Flip through, find ones that you're like, what? I don't remember this at all. Yeah. 50. Which number? 51? Okay. Wow. This one looks like a beast.
Oh.
Let's see if we can't, let's see if there's an easy way to cross anything off.
What is this called again?
This is rationalizing a denominator.
You could probably cross out C,
Oh, is that the
I'm
one we
assuming,
took off?
because it's the only one with the 7 out in front.
That's the thing where you take off all the square roots of the denominator, right?
Right, I can't have any square roots left in the denominator. You're close. Right, you have to multiply by the conjugate. 7 plus the square root of 3. So, watch this, everybody. In the denominator, I'm going to have to FOIL that together, right? All my square roots should disappear. So let's start there, because that'll probably get me down to, if not the final answer, at least one of 2, depending on what I get when I FOIL the denominator. So, first, 49. Outside is plus 7 root 3. Inside is a minus 7 root 3. So they cancel each other out. And then the last, what is negative root 3 times positive root 3? Negative 3. So 46 is my denominator. So we're going to cross off B and D.
So we're left with A and C.
Right. So now I have to do some work up top. But actually, I mean, you do the tiniest little bit and you already have your answer. Right? Because if I FOIL these two together, what do I get when I multiply the first things?
28.
28 root 2, right? So doesn't it have to be A? It's got to be A. Yep. Sure. Okay, what else can I answer for you?
If it's
Yeah.
less than, would you shade above or below?
You would shade below it. So, which one are you doing? 14 or 15? Okay, the question is on 14. First of all, I can immediately cross off, oh my gosh, probably a lot of them. Oh my god, I already know the answer. Don't you know the answer so fast?
Yes.
Why? It has to be a solid line. The only one with a solid line is D. Let's assume you don't get that lucky, okay? Pretend they're all solid lines. I'm sure on the actual exam, you're going to have two that are identical. It's just that one shaded above, one shaded below. So how do you know where you're supposed to shade? It comes down to the inequality symbol. It says y is less than. So that means I need to shade underneath my parabola. I want you to pretend that the parabola was a hose filled with water. And then, well, maybe a balloon makes more sense. No, it doesn't. Okay, imagine it's a hose. Are you thinking of a hose?
Yeah.
The parabola. Oh, Jesus. Oh my God. I did not mean that. I meant like a fire hose or a garden hose. I meant HOSE. Oh my God. No.
I think it's time for the office.
This is all on video.
Yes, I know, unfortunately. All right, so listen, ladies and gentlemen. Imagine that this was a hose, HOSE. If it's less than, right, and the water's going to come out of the, imagine like you ever see those, it's like, I think it's called like a soaker hose or something that has holes all throughout, so it's more like a sprinkler. Can you envision what I'm talking about?
Yep. Yes.
Oh, Jesus. Okay, anyway, maybe I'm doing a bad analogy. I want you to imagine, like, if this bursts, where would the water go? It would all go down underneath, right? If you put the hose this way and it bursts, where would the water go? All this way, right? So, when y is less than, it just goes underneath the parabola, whichever way it is, this way or this way. Right? So, if I had down like a frown, and it was y is less than, shade underneath. If it's like this and y is less than, I still shade underneath. If I had y is greater than, and I had it like this, that's shading above. Either way. Does that make sense? Okay. So, can I do one? 15, sure. So, I like this one better because immediately I can't get to the right answer, but I can cross off one of them right away. Which one can't possibly be right? C can't possibly be right. It has to be a solid line. I can cross off someone else. D, it has to be down like a frown, right? Because it's negative. So it can't possibly be D. All right, great. So now I'm in between these two. They're both shaded underneath, so I'm not going to be able to get away with doing it just by shading. I have to actually figure out which of these two parabolas is in the right spot. How do I do that? Well, we can plug in a number, or you could actually find the vertex doing negative b over 2a. I would plug in a number. Like, for example, when I plug in 4, I'm either going to get out a positive 2, or if I plug in 4 over here, it's going to be some gigantic negative number. So let's see. If I plug in positive 4, what comes out? Remember, if you plug in a positive 4, what comes out right there? Negative 16. It is not positive 16. It is negative. You take the x and square it and then take the opposite. Plus 32 minus 14. That is not a ridiculously large negative number. That's a positive 2. Isn't it? Yes. So B is the right answer. Okay, what else can I answer for you? What is it? Find the what?
I don't think there's one.
That's okay, but I can make one up.
The length of a rectangle is 3 meters less than but if the area of the rectangle is 4 meters squared, what is it?
Yeah. Oh my God, I have a video for you. Remind me at the end. Yes, I took a video of him looking at it.
Yeah, I've never actually seen him. I bet he's adorable.
Oh my God, he's so cute.
Who?
My son.
Do we watch videos of him?
Maybe. The length of a rectangle is what? Sorry.
Less than the width. If the area is 4 meters squared, what is the length?
All right, guys, so here's the question. Ladies, gentlemen. Guys, thank you. The length of a rectangle is 3 meters less than the width. Do you know what the width is? No, call it x. Width and length. It doesn't matter which side of the rectangle you call what, just label them. I don't know what the width is, so I'm going to call it x. The length is 3 meters less than the width. So it's x minus 3. Now they're telling me that the area is 54. How do you find area of a rectangle? Length times width. So I'm going to be doing x times x minus 3, and it has to get me 54. That's the equation we're going to use. So let's distribute the x. X squared minus 3x equals 54. We realize, oh, hey, it's a quadratic. Let's set the whole thing equal to 0. And now we try to factor. Are there factors of negative 54 that add to be a negative 3? Yes, 9 and 6. So when I solve for x, I get two answers, 9 and negative 6. Are they both right? No. Guys, please stop talking when I am. X is the width of a rectangle. What rectangle did you ever see that had a length of, or a width of negative 6? It's impossible. So the only right answer is x for the width. They didn't ask you for the width, they asked you for the length. But I guarantee you, if it's multiple choice, which it is, they're going to have 9 as a choice. And you're going to think that you got that one right. You got it, yes. If they want the, that's why I'm telling you, it's so important to label it. Right? Because after you do all this math, you don't remember what x was, if it was the length or the width. Oh, unless you actually wrote it down like I did. So then you say, oh, length is actually x minus 3. So it's 9 minus 3. The actual answer is 6. Not 9, 6.
9 minus 3 is 6. So the width is 9, the length is 6.
Right.
6 times 9 is 54.
It is.
Full circle. You do 16.
I sure can. 16. Solve each equation by factoring. I'm actually going to write it over here. M squared minus 2m equals 0. All right, guys, listen. Remember step 1 of factoring. If there's anything to take out, take it out. Is there anything to take out? Right here? Take out an M. You have now factored this thing completely. So to solve it, you just set each factor equal to 0. This is a factor. That's one of my answers. It's just 0. And then m minus 2 equals 0. So then my other answer is 2. So I get 0 and 2 as my answers. So it's got to be choice D. All right, guys, what else?
We're gonna review still on Monday.
Number 4, that's like a long time ago, and I was
All right, well, we're going to go piece by piece. So the first thing I would do is cover up the denominator altogether. Let's just handle the numerator. All right, so in the numerator, I have a squared, right, that a squared. And then what's this a going to turn into? If I have a cubed and then I'm going to square it, a to the 6th, and it would be b to the 8th. When you raise a power to a power, you multiply them. So now let's keep going though, because I can put those a's together. So that would be a to the, you only multiply when you raise a power to another power. If I'm just multiplying the numbers, the bases together, I just add the exponents. So there's my numerator totally simplified. Let's do the same thing for the denominator. So ignore the numerator. Don't forget to do 2 to the 3rd. What is 2 to the 3rd? 8. And it'd be a to the 9th. Raising a power to another power. So I multiply the exponents. 3 times 3 is 9. b to the 6th. You actually already have your answer if you're working smarter, not harder. I'm not done, but I already know the answer. Do you?
the first on the bottom. 8A, B to the 2nd. Oh, wait. 8A. No,
Just
B
look
to
at the...
second on the top, 8A on the bottom.
You're right, but just look at the 8, guys. Just the 8. Just that. Look at... I'm not done, but is the 8 ever going to move? No. The only one that has 8 in the denominator is D. So without even doing the other ones, I already know the answer. But let's talk about the other ones. If I have 8 A's on the top and 9 A's on the bottom, wouldn't I just have 1 left on the bottom? Right? So those A's will all cancel out, and I'll just have A to the 1st on the bottom. If I have 8 B's on the top and 6 B's on the bottom, isn't there 2 left on the top? Right? Yes, so b squared on the top. So yes, we can confirm it is absolutely choice D. I think we should talk about negative exponents. Let's rewind to number 3. Actually, if you work smarter, not harder, you know the answer to 3 already. I'm telling you, multiple choice tests can be so easy if you just stop and think first. It has to be D. The 3 is not being raised to any negative exponents. There's no other numbers, so my final answer has to have a 3 in the numerator. It has to be D. Let's assume that there was more than one choice that had a 3 in the numerator, though. So, look at the x's. That x to the 4th is going to stay exactly where it is, isn't it? What happens to that x to the negative 3rd down there? It moves up, right? Anything with a negative exponent has to move. So if it's already downstairs, it moves upstairs. If it's upstairs, it moves downstairs. So a to the negative third is going to come up. Now I already had 4 x's up there, and now I'm going to put 3 more up there. So altogether I'll have x to the 7th in the numerator. So another reason why it has to be choice D. And then let's look at the y's. Y to the negative 4th. Doesn't that mean I have to take them and move them down? Yes. So I already have 2 down there, and now I'm bringing 4 more down there. So I'm going to have 6 altogether in the bottom. A third reason why D is the right choice. But I'm telling you, look at A. I know the answer immediately. So do you if you just do a little bit of math, the tiniest bit of math. What's 2 have to be? Same thing with 1. Use the fact that it's multiple choice to your advantage. I'm looking at number 2, and I immediately know the answer. What is it? It's got to be A. I'm just doing the numbers, right? Aren't I going to raise 2 to the 3rd power? Right? 2 to the 3rd power is 8. Who's got an 8? A. It can't be B. I didn't say 8 in the denominator. It's just an 8. The only one that has an 8 in the numerator is A. I didn't even have to do the X or the Y part. Do the same thing with number 1. You know the answer immediately. It's got to be 12. 4 times 3 is 12. The only one with a 12 in it is B. Let's see if we can do the same thing with 5. Oh my gosh! They're so easy once you realize, oh, I just...
Oh my god, is it A? No, wait, it's not. It's D.
It's got to be D. And I'm just looking at the 2's, right? 2 times 2 is 4, and it's already in the denominator. It's not going anywhere. So it's got to be D. It's the only one with a 4 down there. Work smarter, not harder, guys. It's multiple choice. You are allowed to use it to your advantage. Is there anything else that I could go over for you?